Which preschool will my child go to? Are they going to go to one of those, fancy outdoor preschool? Or are they going to go to an Islamic school? Or are they going to go to the public school? Which school is right for you? I both taught at Islamic schools, and right now I'm principal at an Islamic school. And I love it. I would never, ever, ever think about going to another school. And
kids, I don't think Islamic school was something I was like, yes, that's definitely what we're going to be doing.
I went to public school. So did you, right?
K through 12.
K through 8th. And then I went to 9th grade private school.
Islamic school?
Yeah, Islamic school.
You did go to
It was
school,
private.
So
it was privatized.
Honestly, it's from your Islamic school experiences that I heard. I was like, I would never send my kid to Islamic school. Why would I pay so much and then get that kind of experience?
What kind of experience?
Like nothing. Oh, like
elite graduation rates.
Social time. I'm talking about. Like, oh, they're still doing these things. They're shady and body blood.
What shady? Oh my God! What are you talking about?
What am I talking
Everybody experiences growing up, and they make mistakes. So.
As I matured now, I understand like literally everything that may happen in a public school can happen in an Islamic school, but it's controlled.
But way less.
Way less. It's
way
controlled.
Less.
It's a space where you can have that conversation and know the right and wrong versus like it is what it is.
Yeah, and now I see some public schools where there's a good amount of Muslim population, then they do have spaces, prayer space or reflection
or an MSA,
or something like that. Yeah. Yes, Islamic school is not the answer. You don't just drop your kid somewhere and then the school becomes the sole custodian of your child's Islamic upbringing.
I think for some people it actually hinders because they may send their kid to Islamic school, they learn something, and they come home and see the opposite, or like it's not complementing, and then there's a little bit like.
That's not the Islamic school's fault, but
I'm saying the parents' fault. Like you thinking like, oh, Islamic school, they got everything. I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, you have to be Muslim yourself.
Yeah. Okay, for example, the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah are coming up.
Yeah.
And there can be an emphasis at school of like, these are really blessed days and you should try to fast and do good deeds. And when you come home and you're like, it's not Ramadan, like don't worry about it. Like it's not actually a big deal. And you're like, we're literally told that it was like the best 10 days, like Ramadan's best 10 nights, and now at home it's like nobody cares about it, right? So it's not even about like you're not like, it's not all about practice, it's also about how you present things in Islam.
True. But I've seen parents who are not very practicing and they take this step to bring their kids to an Islamic school, and their children actually teach them lessons and they grow in their faith.
Learn from that as well. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like I would say myself, like I'm really bad at memorizing Quran and my tajweed is really bad. And even if I haven't committed that time to it, I am internally motivated to be better at that because my kids are really good at it, mashallah. So like,
mashallah.
And I've had some friends who like maybe started wearing hijab or just even other things because their kids went to an Islamic school and they just brought that information home and questioned, and the parents also like, yeah, why am I not doing this or why am I doing this? So I think there is that value too. I think one of the things that people are scared about with Islamic school, or not scared but hesitant, are like, how will my child then interact with others in the world if they're only around Muslims?
Here's my answer to this.
Okay.
Muslims are the most diverse group of individuals in the entire world. That's a fact. So when you send your kid to an Islamic school, they're probably going to interact with people or students or children from like 39 countries. And so a default Islamic school calendar event is like Culture Day. Not like you're putting your kid in a bubble, but you are.
And all this is in the context of America, okay? There's nowhere else we have context for.
That's true.
My neighbors are not Muslim. My HEB employee who's checking me out is not Muslim. So they're still in the world.
Checking
it's not like
you out?
Yeah, checking me out at the cash register.
Oh, okay.
So they're still interacting. If they watch any bit of TV, they have an understanding of the world, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't think my kids...
We live in America. We live in the United States of America. I mean, come on.
All my kids are going to Islamic school. They have been, but they can tell. They know what Christmas is. They know what Valentine's Day is because there's just everywhere.
They do not know what Valentine's Day is.
They go to the store and like, oh, all these hearts are up. It's February. I know it's Valentine's Day, but they don't care. They're just like, whatever. It is what it is. Like, they're happening. They're not like, what about? Can I do? No, it's just like, all right, whatever. I'm living my life. I know that's something that's happening in the world.
That's crazy. I remember in public school they would give out those little like candies with the heart shaped candies, and you're like in first grade and you're like passing out these little things. And these are the things that you can avoid. You don't have to be involved in when you send your kid to an Islamic school. So there are a lot of benefits to going to an Islamic school, but there's also some limitations. Right?
Knowing your kid too, their learning style or any other like accommodations they may need, that's usually at most Islamic schools, it's not easily accommodated. And you don't want to shortchange your kid by being, oh, you have to go to Islamic school and they not get the services they need to be able to learn. I don't think that's very smart. I think that you need to assess that and see where you're going to be able to get those services.
Yeah, if they have a learning challenge or a behavioral challenge, you know, it depends on the severity of it. You can't hold a Islamic school to the same expectations that you have from a public school, which gains a lot more funding, has a lot more staff, right, than a typical Islamic school setting. But that doesn't go for all Muslim schools.
I know a lot of my friends who have children who may have special needs. They still are looking even at public schools, like which school is actually going to be the best provider of those services.
Yeah, the choice you have to make really starts with your child. What do they need and when do they need it, right? And so a student may need to be in a more public school setting where they can sharpen their skills and get the tools that they need so they can, you know, obtain these coping mechanisms or learning strategies that they then can transfer over to a school that may not have that specialized instruction and support system, but they get to this age where the environment means more to them than trying to sharpen these skills. And hopefully they've already obtained those skills up to that point.
Another thing that's happening right now is this, and I mean, really hot in Texas, but it happens in other states as well, as what curriculum is used in the public school. And what are they teaching? What are the ideologies that are really embedded in the curriculum or taught, and not just socially also, but also academically.
Yeah.
And so if you as a parent have some privilege to be able to control that, or you know, give your student, your child, an opportunity to learn more holistically or in a fair way, you have that right to do that.
And most parents don't ask that question or look into like what books are being used, what publisher is being used, and that background. And nowadays it's very easy to look up and find out, you know, it's all open information and you can make an assessment of whether that's good for your child. Imagine if there's a publication and your child goes through that from kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and they have been taught social studies in a particular way, they're going to think, you know, one group is a bad guy.
It becomes their worldview.
Yeah,
part of it. It impacts their worldview. And I think that that's another maybe limitation of Islamic schools right now, because we haven't, and maybe it's in the development, some places are adopting it, but we don't have enough data right now, I feel, in America, again, of a integrated Islamic curriculum on general subjects.
Yeah, most Islamic schools you will find are just basically public school or a little bit less than a public school with salat time in the middle of it, which is basically shortening your lunch and recess so you can fit in a 15-minute break.
I mean, I don't think it's just that, right? Like, there is Arabic class, and so that's learning a second language. We need to frame it like that, too. We're not really. We're just like, oh, Arabic because we have to read the Quran. But actually, there's conversational Arabic that's being taught, too. Just like you would learn any other language. In many schools, Chinese, Mandarin is taught, or Spanish. In my school, we had French and German, too. So we're not framing it that way, though. We make it seem like, oh, it's just because we're Muslim and we have to learn Arabic, but it is your whole brain is learning a second language, and that does something.
Right, and I think that actually, I think the Muslim community themselves does not value Arabic, and the Islamic schools feel like it's a must. Like, we must offer Arabic, obviously, and it is that obvious, to be honest with you, but it's not intentional. So it needs to be intentional. And I think people who've worked longer at the same school have been able to, over the years, kind of transform their program into a much more developed and proper
over
program.
The years, right? So any teacher that becomes an Islamic school veteran teacher is going to be having that solid ground. And I think that's one of the limitations of Islamic schools right now. It's like many Muslims have not been in the country long enough to build that decades of information and pedagogy and all that. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there, but it's not everywhere right now.
Yeah, and I also think with time will come that investment in those educators and seeing them for what value they actually really bring and give them the space to plan and do research and network. I think that parents sending their kids to the Islamic schools, there is a bit of a trade-off, but it is a massive investment in the ummah itself. And so when people say, oh, well, that school is better, I'm just going to send them there, and I'm not going to take a chance, I'm not going to participate in the Islamic school, then our Islamic schools will be at that level. It's going to remain at that level. When you go to the best schools, they require like you to put in community service hours and like, you know, participate in your school. We need to have a little bit of more school pride, community pride, and not in a boastful negative way, but in an honorable, you know, way where we stop talking down on our institutions and we pick up the phone or we get in our car, we drive over to the school, we attend the weekend event, and we participate. We don't just complain, but we come with solutions.
Exactly, for anything.
But sometimes people make that mistake of like, oh, I put him in Kuman, I put him in Mathnasium, I dropped him off to the Quran class, I did it. You can't just be dropping them off and dropping money on them, all right? You gotta chill with them. You gotta take them places. You gotta make faces with them. You gotta roll around with them. You can't just, you know, say that, oh, I got you this. You know, you can't just be like missing from your kid's life and then come home with a big prize for them. Here's a gift. I love you, kid.
We already know that doesn't work, right? Doesn't work with spouses. It doesn't work with your kids. And part of this is not all on you. But if you build that community, that village that people talk about right now, it's not going to be you every single day doing that. But if it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to soccer. This auntie's going to pick you up. On the way, you eat ice cream. That's already good enough. It doesn't have to be you every single time. But if you're not building that connection, the auntie's never going to come pick them up.
I think that as parents at an Islamic school, we have like, it's low-hanging fruit for us, right? We have brotherhood, sisterhood, community. We have the same values. We're on the same mission. We're here together. I think that that's the greatest benefit of being at an Islamic school. Build this village, the community, but your village and your community is not simply the school that you go to. It's also the neighborhood that you live in. It's also the grocery store that you shop in. And that's what it means to be a Muslim, to be really part of the community. And everyone around you is there for a purpose, and you have to be intentional about who you put your kids around. That's number one for me. Where are you going? When you choose a school, who goes there? And those people, who makes the decisions there? What is their background? What is their expertise? What are their values? You know what I'm saying? And after that, who are the other parents that go there?
And so I think this kind of just one point that we didn't get to touch on leads into homeschooling as the option, because then people feel much more in control of what influences their children because they're not around as many children, you know, on a daily basis.
Homeschool doesn't mean you just put them in their bedroom and give them a bunch of textbooks. You have a whole homeschooling community.
You have to be way more on.
Oh, yeah. You are the teacher.
Be the parents at Islamic school, and that's already like too much for you. You think homeschooling is going to be like, okay, it's just me and my family, we're just going to chill. You have to be completely on. Yeah. We have a friend who has 4 kids, and not all of them are in the same school system, right? One is at Islamic school, one is being homeschooled, one is going to public school. One of them, I don't know what's happening with them. I can't remember. But good for them to be able to consider their kids' like needs and their own, right? Maybe they can't do 4 kids at home, right? And that makes sense. And there's one who is able to be at home, or that's the best environment for them, and they're going with that. Because I have a cousin who is very heavily involved in homeschooling, I end up having the books that she uses and stuff. And so for me, in my...
Are you talking about Brave Muslim Parents?
I am.
On Instagram?
I am. And so in my head, I'm always like, if I'm, you know, taking this investment into Islamic schools and committing my children in this institution and trying to help elevate and promote this environment, if there are any gaps in the curriculum or any spaces of learning, I can supplement it myself as a pseudo homeschooler, right? Like through the workbooks or the experiences. Oh, we're going here, we're going there. We're like, oh, we went to this museum, and we're like, you know, because you were talking about al-Batani and social studies, and now we went to the museum, an American museum, and they have them too, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, or
those
the
are
library.
The connections that what homeschoolers would do, right? And so I think that for me is like a hybrid of that. Like an Islamic school and a hybrid of homeschooling, just in case there's things that are missed.
I think that's a requirement. Know that you are your child's biggest teacher, and you're going to be there throughout their life, and you have to make that effort. So we're not saying that you have to be like this person or that person, but we're encouraging you that you need to be involved. Know your child's curriculum. What are they learning in school? Find out. It's your responsibility. And make sure that you leverage the resources that you already pay for, right? Whether it's the library or something in your community that's just sitting there, it's waiting for you to show up.
The internet now too has so many resources.
But please vet the material that you're using, right? Nowadays there are games that look educational that are totally brain rot, and there are books that look like, whoa, a thick book my child is reading. They're so smart and intelligent. Look at the content of what's in there. And so, like anything, vet it, look at the reviews, talk to other parents, and actually sift through the content.
Number one, you are the first teacher. Number two, whatever educational system you go with, you still have to build a village and connections. It's not going to happen just by yourself. And three, I would say all these systems have pros, and we should be working to merge them in different ways to benefit our children the most. There are things we can get from homeschooling curriculums and ideologies, and an Islamic school, and public school, and charter schools. And I think even if you are a part of those, any of those kind of institutions, don't feel like it's a competition, right? Oh, I had this great resource, but I'm not going to share it with them because they go to that thing, whatever. We have to prove that we're best. We can all work together because all for the kids.
Right. And all the kids that go to any school, like you said, just to double down on that, they're all going to be part of the next generation. They're all going to be part of the next society. So we do have to care. Even though my kids go to the Islamic school and I help kind of select the curriculum and all of that jazz, I do care what public school curriculum is being implemented in my region, in my town, in my nation, right? Because that worldview is going to shape the world that we're leaving for our kids and our grandkids. We want to work together regardless, of where we send our children, but we do have choices to make, and alhamdulillah, we're not limited. And so keep exploring, keep an eye out for your options. Share when you find something, fascinating or something good or resourceful. Share. And now, where do I share it? Share it online. Share with whoever you know, and see what they have to say, and they might share something even better with you.